Dame i gospodo, dobar dan i dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Liderova podcasta. Ova epizoda će biti nešto drugačija s obzirom da je prvi put kod nas u gostima čovjek koji originalno dolazi iz Engleske, ali je ovdje već 21 godinu. Puno stvari neću otkriti sam, to ću ipak pustiti našem gostu, Paulu Bradburyju. Paul, dobrodošao u goste.
Nice to be here. I ako vam ne smeta, ja ću dali na engleskom, zašto znam što hrvatski je svjetski jezik, ali samo najpametniji ljudi na svijetu govore engleski, hrvatski.
Hrvatski.
I nisam toliko pametan, ali trudim se.
Thank you so much. You're very flattering. So I like to, as always, in the beginning of episodes, I like to begin from the start.
Okay.
And especially your start, it's quite interesting. When you arrived in Croatia and what you've been doing in the meantime. It's been 21 years since you're here.
Yeah.
Why did you come here and why did you stay?
Well, actually, I first came to Croatia, not many people know this, back in 1988 for the first time, because I was in a Catholic boarding school in the UK, and we heard about this place called Medjugorje, and so I decided to come I was in Zagreb for a night, and then I went off to Medjugorje just to see this miracle. But then that was really my only experience of Croatia, and then I was living in East Africa in Somaliland, just the northern Somalia, and I just sold my house in the UK, and I was looking for a place to buy to keep my books and just to have a base, and CNN was on the TV, and there was a reclama from the Croatian National Tourist Board, Croatia, the Mediterranean as it once was. And it was 30 seconds of true magic back in 2002. And I looked around Somalia and I looked at this reclama and I was like, let's go buy in Croatia. So it was a very spontaneous decision. I ended up on the island of Hvar. There was only one house for sale in Jelsa, which is the town I like the most. And so we were there for a weekend. And so I bought the house spontaneously. And we arrived on Vela Gospa. And I thought Jelsa was the most amazing place on the planet. And I just assumed it was like that every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I came back a month later, there were no tourists. And I was like, what happened? And then at the end of September, my local restaurant closed. And I saw the waiter on the street the next day. And I said, you're closed? He says, yeah. And I said, when are you opening? And he's like, May. And I was like, May? Like, what kind of restaurant is closed for 7 months of the year? And it was then that I realized that I was on this tourist island that only worked for 2-3 months a year at the time. So, but it turned out to be the best decision of my life. I've now been here 21 years and now living in Zagreb, which I think has become an incredible city over the last 10 years. And genuinely, I think it's the best place I've ever lived. And so, yeah, I'm super happy here. It's a great place to be. We need to work on your mindset a little bit to be a bit more positive about life. But yeah.
You think Croatians are not as positive about life as they should be?
I think everybody here is, I've said before quite a few times that there is a default negative mindset here in Croatia, and a Croatian can forgive you anything but success. And so all the good stories are kept below the surface. But, it's amazing how, Andrea Čolak, who I know was one of your guests, like doing business here, he said, I said, is there anything good about doing business in Croatia? And he said, just one thing. If your business can succeed in Croatia, trust me, it can succeed anywhere in the world. And that's the only good thing about doing business in Croatia. But, people here, they're just, it's tough here. I mean, there's corruption, nepotism, the salaries, the healthcare, all these things are true. But there's also a lot of magic here. And if people stop for a moment just to focus on appreciating some of the great things about Croatia, the safety, the lifestyle, the authentic experiences, and the sense of community, stuff like that we just don't have in the West. If you actually balance those two things out, things aren't as negative as people here portray. But there's this whole thing that Croatia is the most corrupt place in the EU. It's not. Go to Romania, go to Bulgaria, Like Croatian language is the most difficult language in the world. It's not. It's a Slavic language. And once you learn all the padaji from Russian, from Polish, from all these different places, it's the same kind of language. And actually, Croatia is much more logical than many of those, And so there's this whole thing of extremes here. It's either the best at this or the worst at this and stuff. And the truth is, it's a great country. It has its problems. And now I genuinely see so many young entrepreneurs who are coming up with incredible ideas and they're building an ecosystem below the radar that's, because they don't want to be celebrated because a Croatian can give you everything but success. There's a new Croatia being built down here, and it's not just Remats and Infobip. It's hundreds of companies like that, and I think it's a tremendously exciting time to be in Croatia. And I'm very privileged to be the old guy sort of writing about some of these things.
I agree completely with everything you said. There's an ecosystem being built in the last couple of years, where there's the major companies being built, major growth is being experienced like in a year, right? Mm-hmm. And people are doing great, even though the situation it is how it is regarding politics, corruption, nepotism, and stuff like that, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's happening not because of the system, but despite the system. And so the way I see it is, it's almost like there's an alternative Croatia being built around the system. And you know, to me, the moment I was set free in my mind in Croatia was when I made a distinction, because this is a very heavily taxed and a very corrupt country, for sure. And we have this Uhljebistan and lots of Uhljebs. And it took me 15 years to even realize what an Uhljeb was and stuff. And then since then, it's been a different view of Croatia. But the way I made my peace with Croatia was not that I'm interested in paying bribes, but I made my peace when I said living in Croatia as a choice is a little bit like being an alcoholic in Norway. So Norway has a great lifestyle for those that want that kind of lifestyle, but the beer is really expensive, like 10 euros for a beer. So if you're an alcoholic, you know, paying 10 euros for a beer is a lot, because you can come to Croatia and pay 2.5, 3 euros for a beer. So you get more beer for your alcoholism. But people choose to do that because they want to live in Norway and have the Norwegian lifestyle. Yeah. And in the same way, in Croatia, this is the best lifestyle in Europe. It's one of the safest places on the planet, and it has, you know, so many things to offer, but it has very high taxation, and we have to feed the Uhljebs and so on like that. And so for me, rather than complaining about the system the whole time, you do what you can to change it. You just accept that the price of living in Croatia is you have to pay your annual Uhljeb tax. And it's expensive, but once you mentally get around that and say, okay, I've paid it, now can I just have the magic, please? Then mentally you're much, much, much freer. And the number of Croats, when I did a video about that, were like, wow, thank you so much. This has really helped me. And it's, you know, it's like the old prayer. It's like, accept the things you cannot change, have the courage to change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. And if you can work on the things that you can change in Croatia, and there are things that are changing, and you realize that this isn't going to change. So rather than waste all your life complaining about this in cafes, accept it, and then focus on the things you can change, and then focus on the safety, the lifestyle, and stuff here, and just enjoy Croatia.
Here in Croatia, you're definitely a media guy. So you're active on pretty much all platforms now, including TikTok, in the last couple of months. Yeah,
sad, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's funny.
My kids are thrilled, yeah. And on my birthday, I posted on Facebook and I said, there's only one thing more pathetic than a 53-year-old YouTuber, and that's a 54-year-old TikToker, you know. So it's nuts. I mean, I don't pretend to understand this new media, but you know, we've put out 15 very short videos on TikTok. We've had 3 million views.
Yeah, I think that's the key. You don't pretend that you understand the new media, but the new media understands you because you don't pretend, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the one thing I'm trying to be is natural and authentic. I'm not trying to sort of push agendas here, and I say things as they are. I have a YouTube channel called Paul Bradbury, Croatia Expert, which looks at some issues in Croatia. It looks at some tourism things. It gives my opinions on things. And we have tons of engagement. And like 99% of the likes are positive. The comments are really generally positive. We have the few Ustaša Partizani that come in, and I've decided just to block those just because it keeps the energy of the channel, and now it's building a community. And it's amazing how many people are actually looking for positive vibes from Croatia because they can't find it in their daily lives because we have this default negative mindset. And so what I'm trying to do is to portray, you know, while acknowledging there are problems, because there are problems. of course there are, is to try and portray a more positive side of Croatia, which actually balances all the negativity a little bit. So I did one video called 10 Things Croatia Does Better Than Any Other Country. And this wasn't sponsored. I wasn't paid. I'm not a member of Hard Say and all the accusations I get. And so I did this thing, and and I genuinely feel, the things I said is, are the things. And we got, I think, 300,000 views on YouTube for this. And then we had somebody stole it and put it on Facebook. We got 1.1 million. Somebody stole it, put it on TikTok, 600,000 within 24 hours. But the comments were like, wow, we really, as Croats, forget or never take time to appreciate. And imagine that you with all the complaining in the cafes that you do, you took out 5 minutes every time to say, let's look at the good things in Croatia.
It's not so bad.
Yeah, it's the mindset is the biggest battle here. I mean, corruption's terrible, nepotism's terrible, all that stuff. I agree with you. But if we can change the mindset here, we can move mountains.
You basically made a career out of telling Croatia how good Croatia actually is in some way.
Well, I'm not always saying it's perfect. I have a philosophy of what I call constructive criticism. I'm a huge fan of Index, which is a bit controversial. I think I really like Matija Babić. We have lunch a couple of times a year and stuff. And they do some great stuff. They also do some terrible stuff. And I don't like the fact when the Croatian media just, criticizes without offering something better. It's easy to say everything's terrible. And so when I do criticize, I say it could be better this way, and so that's something I'm doing. And I've had some success with that. I've had a couple of lawsuits because of it and stuff. And But generally, my thing every time is I'm trying to be authentic, honest, open. I think I have something to offer after 20 years. I've traveled the world before I came to Croatia. I was in 95 countries before I came to Croatia, lived in 10. And the way I market myself is local knowledge with a foreign eye. So I have a very different perspective on what tourists want, because I am a tourist and I've been to countries. Whereas a lot of people here just think, this is what we have and so on, and they haven't really experienced the outside. So I'm going to give you a very simple example of that. When we started our Total Split portal years ago, I got a photograph of the port. And in the port, you have where the catamaran goes, where the ferry goes, where the ferry to Ancona goes, where the bus station is, where the train station is. And I did a guide to how to buy ferry tickets and all these different tickets here. And, with the map, this is where you go for the catamaran, and these are the tips. If the catamaran to Hvar is full, buy a ticket to Korčula, because they always keep 25%. Korčula's less popular. And then you get off at Hvar, that kind of stuff. And because I saw as a Westerner, these are the questions not being answered. And the number of apartments in Split, they're like, this is amazing. Thank you so much for this. We're going to link to this because we get these questions all the time. And now we just send the link and all the questions are answered by somebody who knows what they're talking about. So, these are things that, have been missing in Croatian tourism that I've seen, and I've tried to improve the information flow. So this local eye with local knowledge of the foreign eye is something that's been quite good for us.
And it's a great phrase. It's pretty self-explainable.
Yeah.
So when you arrived 21 years ago, right now you have your own website. It's called Total Croatian News. How did you earn your income when you arrived? And how did the business side of your staying here in Croatia develop during the years?
Well, when I arrived, I didn't actually plan to actually live here. I was an aid worker. I was in Rwanda and Somalia and the former Soviet Union, Georgia and Tajikistan, and I actually had a job in Baghdad, working for the UN, and just about to start. And the day after I arrived in Yeltsin, they blew up the UN building in Baghdad, so that job got cancelled. So suddenly I was thinking. And then, I met a very lovely young lady on the island. And so I ended up spending a bit more time. And then it was 2003. I was in Japan for 6 months teaching English. And then I came back and I saw there was an opportunity with real estate, because prices were really, really low back then. So I opened an agency selling Croatian real estate to foreigners back in 2003, 2004, 2005. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had a lot of trust in lawyers back then. And, when when a lawyer says, "Čisti papiri, jeden kroz jeden, nema problema," you think everything's okay. And then there was this amazing phrase, which I've only ever heard used in one particular situation in the Croatian language. And the situation is when a lawyer has promised you jedan kroz jedan, nema problema, čisti papiri, and you've bought the property, and then you find out that it isn't jedan kroz jedan, čisti papiri and everything else. And the phrase is, imamo problemčić. And I've never ever heard this used.
That's such a soft way to put it.
It's just like a delicate little intro into you've just like lost this amount of money and stuff. Yeah. So I did that for a while. And then we were doing some property in Montenegro, 2004, a little bit in Bosnia and into Albania. And then since then I've been just trying, I tried a couple of franchise purchases for former Yugoslavia. I tried various things. And then in 2011, I started doing online writing. So I started my first portal, Total Kvar, in a cafe in Jelsa. And that's how my sort of writing started. I'd never written before. So we went from Total Kvar, from a cafe in Jelsa. I think I wrote 9,000 articles about the island. We're doing 6 articles a day, what's happening in Vrtić, things about olive oil. And the idea was to show the world that Hvar is not just a sunshine island for 3-4 months of the year, but actually it's a 12-month thing. It's great quality of life and so on. So we brought the New York Times, we brought Sunday Times, came to Hvar because of it. I won a couple of international awards for promoting the island. And that's how it started. And then I did Total Split, and then Total Zagreb, and then in 2015 I realized there was no English language news portal for Croatia, despite the fact we're in the EU. So I started Total Croatian News. I had zero idea what I was doing. I didn't know Croatia. I knew Hvar, I knew Diocletian's Palace, I knew Zagreb bus station and Banja Luka, and that was basically it. And then suddenly I had this like news portal. And to show how naive I was, my target audience was the Croatian diaspora, who have a passion for the country but don't speak the language. So I thought if I can do a portal that would, bridge the gap there. And so I wanted to do a really impressive first interview that would really sort of make people sit up and notice. So I managed to get an interview with the foreign minister, which I thought was pretty cool. So I went and interviewed the foreign minister, had a great interview, and that was my first ever sort of thing. And I was so proud of myself, but as soon as I published it, the comments from Australia were like, what the hell is this Tito-loving idiot doing, like celebrating Vesna Pusic?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I had no idea, because I didn't even, I interviewed Josipovic. I didn't even know if he was HDZ or SDP when he was running for president and stuff. I've learned a lot since. I'm now very, very well versed in Croatian politics and all its intricacies. But yeah.
So publishing that article, after the publishing, it was like imamo problemčić.
Yeah, well, a lot of people unsubscribed. I lost maybe 100 Facebook followers just because of publishing that. So that was, and people today still remember this is the Tito-loving portal that published the interview with Pusic. So I'm a British spy, or I'm MI6, whatever,
I've read about that so much, like in the comments, and even you acknowledging that on your Facebook statuses and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm totally a British intelligence agent.
Well, I actually came out in one of my videos and I explained that actually I used to work for MI6, but now but now I freelance for Mossad. Yeah. I mean, that's great. Look at me, James Bond. Yeah, for sure.
Jedan kroz jedan. What does the future hold? I know it's a hard thing to say, especially since we don't have a crystal ball here, but what's your plans regarding business, life, anything in Croatia?
Well, I think Croatia is a great place. I'm working with some really good people, entrepreneurs and so on. I want to really sort of move a little bit away from tourism, and because I think the tourism story is quite boring in Croatia. It's been done, it's Sunsea, record numbers, blah, blah, blah. And I think there's a lot of stuff happening in the startup world. I think there's a lot more now with the environment, sustainability that we can do. I'm now talking to a couple of primary schools to start featuring primary school kids writing for us about their views of the environment and things like that, because I think getting those young voices. I'm a little bit terrified by AI because I think blogging will be dead within 6 months, really.
Vlogging.
Blogging. I think vlogging will be a bit longer, but who knows? So I'm trying to get a lot more into video. So we started our YouTube channel, and that's going super well. The TikTok's going insanely well. And I see a little bit now, a bit more of that local knowledge with the foreign eye, doing that on TikTok and YouTube, that we have a different approach to how we present Croatia. You have influencers that come in and spend 3 days and do a video and it gets 500,000 views, and then they go off to somewhere else. But I think we're one of the only people that have been here for a long, long time that have the longevity and have the knowledge of parts of Croatia that perhaps haven't been covered. So a lot of the videos that we do are things, and local people actually go, wow, I learned something from this English guy, you know? And so I did a video called 10 Things That Blew My Mind When I Bought a House on Hrvatskoj. And it's 8.5 minutes, which is quite long for a video. And when I posted it on Facebook, I said, a little bit arrogantly, I said, I guarantee that 99% of people who live on Hrvatskoj will learn something from this video. Okay, which is quite an arrogant thing for a foreigner to say. And the average watch time was 4.5 minutes, which is pretty long for a video like that. We had over 1,000 comments. We had over 2,000 likes, 50, 60,000 views, I think it now. And everybody was like, wow, I didn't know that, didn't know that, didn't know that. Because what I'm trying to do is not just say, go to the cathedral, go to the beach. It's like, these are interesting facts about the island. This is how things are developing because of this, this, this. And so some of the things I know personally, because of my experiences that not many people know, and I'm happy to talk about those different things. And so what I'm trying to do now is to work with destinations to do a series of 10 amazing things about the destination that people don't know. And so it's a mixture of education and entertainment. It's a different type of tourism promotion. And so the people that watch it are the people, all the haters that think, who is this asshole? You know, he can't teach me anything. So they watch to the end just to prove that they're wrong.
Yeah. They just look for points.
Yeah, he's wrong. You know, they look for something like that. And then you have the people that genuinely have no idea what's coming next. And so we're getting really, really outstandingly long. I think the video channel itself has an average watch time of 3.5 minutes per video. And a lot of the videos are only 2 minutes long. You know, and the engagement's been insane. And, you know, like I say, now we're building this positivity community and stuff in the comments and so on like that. So it's actually quite a nice place to hang out online, which, you know, it's quite hard to find those places in the modern world, you know. So, you know, and I you know, and we also have a really interesting series called 25 Reasons You Should Never Visit Croatia or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And this is a format which is not mine, but I've used having seen it elsewhere, and it's incredibly effective because you have this English guy saying, "Don't visit Croatia," so you have all the haters immediately jumping on, and then you have the people actually, you know, they go beyond the naslov and the commentary and they actually watch the video, and they go, "Wow, this is really, really original," and so then they start these fights and defense in the comments. So I did one. Like the last one I did was 25 Reasons You Should Never Visit Continental Croatia. Yeah. And Index, who've been very supportive, they did a story on it, and they got 150,000 clicks on the article. So that's #2 story of the day at the time. And it was all these people going, who is this like drunken English guy telling us that, you know, never, you know, and then people, no, you have to watch this. This is great. And so we're developing slowly a brand of, you know, the people that really, really sort of appreciate what we do. And then you've always got the haters, and they're engaging with each other. But it's starting the conversation. You know, to have a video about inland Croatia that gets 150,000 clicks is pretty good promotion for inland Croatia, because you know, because we don't get that much. And so now I'm just back from Istria. We're about to do a video, 25 Reasons You Should Never Visit Istria and stuff, and it'll be quite interesting, I think, you know. So that's it. You know, we just, you know, I travel a lot. I'm not interested in just promoting, you know, Rovinj and Dubrovnik and Split and stuff. I'm just back from Pleternica, which was a town I actually never heard of until about a month ago. Don't tell anyone. And we had an amazing 3 days there. We went to the Bečarac new museum there. The wine was fantastic, and the hospitality. And you could really see that in these parts of Slavonia, they have something. They just don't know how to get that message across. And so
exactly,
one of the concepts I came up with, now talking to some people in Slavonia, is to come up with a series of 10 articles, videos, and it's 48 hours in. And this is like a weekend break from Zagreb. And then to market that to Zagreb, people are saying it's only an hour away. And this is the magic you can have, and the prices and hospitality and everything else. And so until we can start marketing Slavonia to people in Zagreb, then we can start with tourists, because there's an insane lack of knowledge about Eastern Croatia and the rest of Croatia.
And there's plenty of people here that just don't have the same perspective. And if you can change their perspective, it's much more easier to reach out to people from outside of Croatia.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what was amazing to me was when I came back from Slavonia in 2021 in November, I took an American digital nomad, and I said, give me 6 days of your life, bring your drone, bring your camera, let's video everything. We had the most insane 6-day trip. And I was posting all this stuff. We were at, Iloški Podrum, we were at Ovčara, we were in Vučedol, Otočki Virovi, Vinkovci, all over Baranja, Vukovar, November 18th. We went to this English pub in the middle of nowhere, which is owned by an English guy. We had all the Zadom Spremni Brigade after the remembrance, all the foreign volunteers. They were there for a barbecue. Jakovo, all this stuff. It was amazing. And Almash. And as I was posting on Facebook, all my Croatian friends were like, wow, this is amazing. Where is this? So when I got back to Zagreb, I was like, to my Zagreb friends, Slavonia is amazing. When were you last there? Never been. So after a while, I put on Facebook, and I never complain on Facebook because there's no point. But I said, I'm genuinely shocked, not that I care, how few of my Zagreb friends have never been to Slavonia. And I don't mind, but guys, you're really missing out, because this place is much closer than Split. It's much cheaper than Split, and it's much more fun than Split, And the first comment was, yeah, but you're a foreigner, rich foreigner, and we only earn 4,000 kuna a month, so of course we've not been there. So I edited my comment and I said, guys, I'm really shocked, not that I care, how few of my Zagreb friends, who are among the 200,000 who go skiing internationally every year and so have money, have never been to Slavonia. Silence. And then I came up with 3 questions, which I've asked 85 people in Zagreb. And 84 out of 85 could not give me 3 correct answers. And the questions were, can you name the biggest town in Baranja? Question number 2, can you name 3 famous buildings in Eastern Croatia, not including the Vukovar water tower? And question number 3, can you name 3 Slavonian dishes, not including kulen? And I'm genuinely shocked that 84 out of 85 people from Zagreb couldn't get all 3. And that says it all, really. If we have that level of ignorance about the east of the country, how are we supposed to develop it for tourism and so on?
Paul Bradbury, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I hope you had a good time. We sure did. I think the people from the other side of the screen really learned a lot and got a new perspective. It's funny to me because you see an English guy talking to Croats about Croatia and actually making more sense than Croatians talking about Croatia. Oh, okay. And for that we're thankful. Dame i gospode, bila je ovo još jedna epizoda Liderova podcasta sa gospodinom Paulom Bradburyjem. Kao što već znate, možete nas pratiti na svim društvenim mrežama svakog ponedjeljka kada izlazi nova epizoda. Do sljedećeg gledanja i lijep pozdrav!